Hello to all Cinemaster lovers. Hope you enjoy watching. Let's get started. In Train to Busan, the small car was entering the city, but the driver was surprised to find a quarantine imposed on it and all its residents. After the disinfection, one of the workers who were spraying the car asked what was happening. He was told that there was no need to panic, that all that had happened was a minor gas leak in one of the biological facilities, and that they had managed to control the situation. These were just simple procedures that needed to be followed. The driver continued his way through the city, but he heard his phone ringing, so he tried to reach it to see who was calling. However, the car collided with something he didn't know what it was, so he stopped immediately and got out to see what had happened. He found a dead deer on the ground, didn't think much of it, ensured the car was fine, and then returned to the road. But the deer that was crushed under the car's wheels come back to life and stand on its feet in a terrifying scene. One of the luxurious offices in the city, where shares in a certain company are being traded after the stock price has risen significantly. This person's work is related to the stock market. After he finished the call, he noticed a news article online about a sudden death of fish in the sea, and he stopped reading the article when his assistant, named Seok-woo, entered and told him that he had sold the company's shares that he had previously suggested buying. Seok-woo went down to the garage to return home, and he was talking to his ex-wife as their daughter's birthday was the next day. She was asking him to let her spend a day with her in the neighboring city of Busan, but Seok-woo refused to let the girl go alone. He told her he was busy and promised that he would take their daughter himself and visit her after a week. When he arrived home, he met his mother, who started talking to him from the apartment door about how sad their daughter was because she would have to spend her birthday alone. He went to his daughter's room where she was talking to her mother on the phone under the blanket, saying she could travel alone and take the train, but she quickly hung up when she sensed her father's presence. She got up to talk to him, and her name was Suwon. Her father told her that he had some work, and since he was worried about her, he wouldn't allow her to travel alone. Then he gave her her birthday gift early, and when she opened it, Sukwon discovered that it was the same gift her father had given her on her last birthday. He apologized to her for forgetting and asked her what she would like as another gift. Sukwon's response was that she wanted to go to her mother. He didn't answer her, and he went to his room. His mother entered the room and started talking to him about the significant change in his daughter Sue's personality, how she had become always sad and no longer talked, played, or laughed like she used to since her separation from her mother. And she left him a video of a school celebration where Sue was singing, and her grandmother was the only one who attended. Seok-woo noticed the sadness evident on his daughter's face, and at that moment, he decided to take Sue and go to her mother immediately. On the way, he was talking to his daughter in the car, but he suddenly stopped when fire trucks, ambulances, and police cars passed by, heading towards a massive fire in the city center, with flames visible from the car. But he continued on his way and arrived at the train station and boarded a train to Busan. In one of the train cars, there was a baseball team traveling to the same city for an important match, 2 elderly women, and the train attendants. When the assistant conductor got off to ensure all the passengers boarded from the platform, a girl quickly entered the train, seemingly fleeing from something. He closed the door, and the train moved. Seok-woo saw from the window that something attacked the conductor on the platform and killed him. The girl who boarded the train at the last moment had visible bite marks on her leg, and she was trying to tie them up to stop the bleeding so that no one would notice. At the same time, one of the passengers was watching a strangely dressed man enter the bathroom of the carriage he was sitting in, and he stayed there for a long time, prompting him to inform one of the attendants to check on his condition. Sue, driven by curiosity, headed towards the place to see what was happening, without her father noticing that she had moved away from him. The host was able to open the door to the man inside the bathroom, and it turned out he was one of the homeless people who sleep on the street. He was muttering phrases about how everyone had died and that no one would survive. The host did not understand his words and tried to calm him down and convince him to come out with him. At that moment, the girl who had been bitten on her leg was walking between the train cars, and suddenly she fell in the aisle between 2 cars and died. Her body started shaking violently, and one of the train attendants saw her, so she immediately reported via the intercom that a medical support team was needed at her location. But suddenly, the girl got up and stood behind her after turning into a zombie and attacked the hostess. The flight attendant tried to escape, entered the passenger car while screaming, but the zombies were glued to her and killed her. Within a few minutes, the 2 girls who had turned into zombies began attacking all the passengers in the carriage, and anyone who was bitten by them would also turn into a zombie and attack others. Sue wanted to enter the bathroom, but she saw a man standing at the door because his pregnant wife was inside. The man told her that she could use the bathroom in the other carriage, and she indeed went, entered, and closed the door behind her. At that moment, her father woke up to the sound of his phone ringing and saw through the train car screens the riots that had spread throughout the city. where zombies were attacking people, killing them, and turning them into zombies in turn. He immediately started searching for his daughter, but he didn't find her beside him. And when he reached the carriage where Sue was and saw the zombies running towards them quickly, he shouted his daughter's name without knowing where she was. He heard her voice behind him and rushed towards her, quickly taking her to the next carriage to escape the army of the undead heading towards them. He couldn't close the door at first, so he kept running. At that moment, the husband who was standing at the bathroom door felt anxious, and when he saw what was happening from a distance, he knocked on the door for his wife to come out quickly and fled with her to the next carriage. They quickly closed the door before the zombies reached them. Seok-woo noticed that the zombies attacked them as soon as they saw them, so they used newspaper sheets to cover the door's glass so the creatures wouldn't see them. Indeed, the plan succeeded, and the zombie army calmed down once they could no longer see anyone through the glass. The train driver opened the microphones in the carriage and told them that he would not stop at the next station, but he would stop at the one after that because the army was besieging it, and that they should protect themselves until they reached their destination. One of the passengers asked the driver if he was aware of what was happening, and the driver replied that what was happening on the train was the same as what was happening in all the cities. He explained that the decision not to stop was based on his superior's instructions and advised them to take care of themselves until they reached their destination. The passengers hurried to browse the internet and social media to find out what was happening, and they discovered that a virus had spread among humans, which was the reason people were turning into zombies, and anyone who is bitten by one of them turns into a zombie as well. The government was issuing statements to reassure the residents, advising them not to fall for rumors and misleading news, and assuring them that things would be under control soon. After Seok-woo reassured his daughter, he tried to call his mother to check on her, and she told him to take care of himself and his daughter. Then he heard strange noises on the phone, and he understood that he had lost his mother. He tried to compose himself in front of his daughter and asked her to stay where she was for a few minutes until he returned. Seok-woo went to the adjacent carriage to make a call, and it seems he contacted one of his friends in the army to ask if the city where the train would stop would be safe or not. His friend told him that he was with his daughter, and that the best service he could provide him was to guide him on the right path. He advised him to avoid the main square and go to the eastern square, promising to inform his men there about him. Seok-woo thanked him for this service. Seok-woo noticed that the homeless man was hiding between the seats and listened to the entire call. The train reached the station where the driver had told them it wouldn't stop, and the passengers saw the people on the platform asking for help to save them from the hell they were living in. The train did not stop, and the passengers watched what was happening on the platform, where zombies were attacking and turning them. The train continued on its way. The man and his pregnant wife were standing next to Sue, so he asked her about her father's job. She replied that he works in the stock market, and he laughed and said it was a vampire job, but his wife scolded him for that behavior. Then she looked at Sue and laughed, offered her some sweets, and placed her hand on her belly to feel her baby's movement, which made Sue very happy. The train arrived at the station where it was scheduled to stop, but the passengers hesitated to disembark. One of them took the initiative and got off, and they followed him to the completely empty station, heading towards the main square. Seok-woo and his daughter broke through the barriers to head towards the eastern square, as his friend had advised him. But he noticed that the homeless man was walking behind him after listening to the call. The homeless man told him that he didn't want to die, but wanted to live. Sue tried to go back to warn the other passengers, but her father stopped her. From a distance, a soldier from the army appeared, and the homeless man rushed towards him and pointed at him. Seok-woo told his daughter not to move from her spot and ran after the homeless man. Suddenly, a zombie appeared behind the soldier and attacked him, causing the homeless man to fall to the ground in sheer terror, and an army of zombies began to emerge behind him and attack them. On their way to the main square, the man and his pregnant wife felt something strange, and when they approached the square, they saw the soldiers who had been waiting for them, but they had also turned into zombies. As soon as they reached the platform, the zombie attacked 2 members of the baseball team, while the third remained stationary on the solid platform. He tightened his bag as he ran and quickly boarded the train. Only the couple and the pregnant woman who ran on the sidewalk were left. He offered her his bag, but the man took a police shield that was on the ground to defend himself, and in the end, he managed to get into the vehicle with them. Thus, the passengers were divided into 3 carriages. The majority of them were in car number 15, where they covered its windows using fire extinguishers and closed its door with their clothes. As for the driver, the pregnant woman, one of the elderly, and the homeless man, they were in a second carriage, while Seok-woo, the pregnant woman's husband, and the baseball player were in the third carriage. The driver and the pregnant woman discovered that they were trapped between 2 carriages full of zombies, so the pregnant woman noticed that the bathroom door of a nearby carriage was open, and they all entered it. But the zombies saw them at the last moment and tried to attack them, but they quickly closed the door. Seok-woo was trying to call his daughter to check on her, but the call didn't go through. He noticed that the man was talking to his pregnant wife and reported that his daughter was with him. The baseball player also called his cheerleader girlfriend to check on her and informed her that the rest of their teammates had died. The husband of the pregnant woman told Seok-woo and the baseball player that his wife and Sue were trapped in the train carriage bathroom and that they had to rescue them. That's why they started preparing themselves for this difficult journey between the train cars. The first group entered a car filled with zombies and began fighting them, with the man at the front, Seok-woo at the back, and the baseball player in the middle. The group noticed that when the train enters a tunnel and the carriages become dark, the zombies' movements calm down and their aggression decreases. So they decided to use this feature to their advantage, entering each carriage as the train entered the tunnel and withdrawing from among the zombies, using the mobile phone to keep them away without fighting until they reached the group trapped in the bathroom. The man reassured himself about his pregnant wife, while Seok-woo reassured himself about his daughter. But unfortunately, the moment of reunion didn't last long because the train exited the tunnel, so the small group entered the second bathroom. Seok-woo used his mobile phone to calculate the distance and time needed for the train to enter the next tunnel, and he told his colleague to move at that time. The baseball player sent a message to the fan to inform her of the plan, and out of her joy, she told the other passengers that there were still some survivors from those who were with them on the train. But at that moment, the selfish one among them stepped forward and started shouting at her that they couldn't let them into their carriage because one of them might be infected, and therefore everyone could get infected. The train entered the tunnel, and everyone got out of the bathrooms and started moving quietly in the dark so the zombies wouldn't sense them. Everyone got off the train, but the homeless man fell between the seats, so Seok-woo went to help him, and the two of them hid. Seok-woo agreed with the homeless man to move after counting to 3, but the homeless man accidentally stepped on a soda can, which attracted the zombies' attention to them. They ran quickly and entered the carriage at the last moment. But the man, the husband of the pregnant woman, couldn't close the door behind them because one of the zombies got stuck in the door and he couldn't close it. The baseball player went to the door of carriage number 15 where the other passengers were, but they didn't open the door for him. So he started smashing the glass on the other side of the carriage, and then the zombie managed to bite the man who was holding the door. The man died within minutes and also turned into a zombie. Seok-woo went to where the man was to try to help him, but the man told him what had happened and asked him to escape with the others and take care of his wife. Seok-woo began to run quickly with the others. The wife tried to stay with her husband, but he shouted at her to escape with the others, and he began trying to prevent the zombies from catching up with the rest to protect his wife. In the end, he died for them. Seok-woo went to the door of carriage number 15, managed to break the glass, and they all entered. But the passengers tried once again to prevent them from joining them, but this time, they couldn't do it. As soon as Seok-woo entered the carriage, the selfish man punched him in the face because he was the reason the man's child had not been born yet. The selfish person refused to let the new group stay with them, saying that one of them was definitely infected. Seok-woo and his daughter, the pregnant woman, the homeless man, and the baseball player also left with his girlfriend because she refused to stay with the selfish group. At that moment, the old man saw her sister among the zombies through the glass, so she rushed out unnoticed and opened the door, allowing the zombies to enter the train and kill everyone in the carriage after the group that had reached them had left. The train arrived at a station near the city of Busan and stopped. The conductor announced over the microphone that he would try to find another train car as soon as possible. He got off to look for one that could take them to Busan. After Seok-woo heard this, he received a call from his friend in the army who told him that Busan now has the best defense, and if they reach there, they will be safe from the attack. So, Seok-woo told the group with him that they should get off now and try to reach Busan at any cost. At the same moment, the selfish man was with the train conductor in the bathroom of car number 15 after they survived the massacre that occurred in the car. They heard the conductor's words, so the selfish one told the attendant that they should get off to board the other train, which the conductor would speed up. The attendant asked him to go out first, and when he did that, he pushed him towards the zombie and quickly fled from the carriage. There was another train approaching quickly, and it collided with the train that Seok-woo and his companions were on, causing the train to derail. But the group did not die in the accident, and when they woke up, they discovered that the zombies were right above them. Seok-woo quickly moved to find an exit, and when he saw one of the zombies breaking the glass and attacking them, the homeless man stood to fend them off until the pregnant woman and the driver escaped quickly. The homeless man died at that moment. The cheerleader had also survived the train, but she was alone. Suddenly, she found her teammate, the baseball player, holding her hand in one of the train cars. But he was facing the selfish person who pushed the fan towards the zombies so they would be distracted by him, and he could escape. The zombies bit her, and when the baseball player pulled her hand, she had already turned into a zombie as well, and both of them died. Only the selfish man, Seok-woo with his daughter, and the pregnant woman were left. Seok-woo spotted the train moving towards the city of Busan, so he quickly ran with the remaining group to catch up with it. And when they reached it and ensured that everyone had boarded, a group of zombies had latched onto the train, slowing it down. Seok-woo feared that the group of zombies running behind the train would be able to stop it, so he started kicking them until he got rid of them. And when he went to the driver's seat, he found the selfish man who seemed to have prepared and turned into a zombie as well, and he started attacking him. To protect them, Seok-woo tied himself with a chain to the cart's railing, held him by the mouth to prevent him from biting them, and then threw him off the cart. But he noticed that he had been bitten too. Quickly, he took the woman and her daughter to the control room and told them where to find the train brakes. Then he bid farewell to his daughter and rushed out after closing the door behind them and began to remember the moment of his daughter's birth. He jumped off the train at the last moment. Sue and the pregnant woman arrived at a dead end by train, so they got off and started walking through a dark tunnel until they reached the soldiers who were guarding the city. However, they didn't know if they were survivors or zombies, so the sniper ordered them to be shot. But suddenly, Sue started singing the song she had sung at the beginning of the story, and the cannons opened fire, allowing the group to enter the city. If you liked the video, subscribe to the channel and activate the notification button to get more new videos.